Hi everyone, my name's Tim. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to do, I think this is the final of my wrap up of 2023 content, and these are the top 5 comics that I read in 2023. So, I read 13 comics, graphic novels, collections last year, which I think is the most I've read in a year. Most of them were on the comics app on my phone, or I also got some from the library and read one little one in paper that I own, part of the Spider-Man stuff that I've already done previously. So I wanted to. Generally, I think they were all 3-star plus. Um, some I read with my son, some I read just for myself. So these are my top 5. I do want to give one honourable mention though, because I did have 6 that I rated 5 stars, so one didn't quite sneak into the top 5, and unfortunately, that 6th one is the Doctor Who 11th Doctor Omnibus, written by Joshua Hale Bialkov. Um, this I got from the library, and I really enjoyed it. Really good. The only reason why it didn't get into the top 5, I think, is because they use different artists on different stories. It's a collection of stories. Different artists on different stories, and some of the art I really liked, and some of it I really didn't like as much. But I thought the quality of the stories were really good, and you can tell it was the 11th Doctor and Amy and Rory, and Rory played a big part, and he's probably my favourite character in the 11th Doctor era. So, yeah, really enjoyed that. Now, number 5 is The Dark Phoenix by Chris Claremont, part of the X-Men series. This is the X-Men story. You know, it's the reason why they keep trying to make movies out of it, and they keep failing. I still think the best adaptation of the story is from the 90s cartoon. I think we watched it in lockdown. We watched the whole of the X-Men 90s cartoon, and I think it's coming back in some way. But this is the story about Jean Grey and being tricked into thinking that she's the Phoenix, and you see in her mind as she goes back to the past, but it's not real. And in the end, it has a very tragic ending. I think it's a classic for a reason. It's got that X-Men scope of crazy stuff happening in space and all that kind of thing. I do think it does suffer a little bit from it being released on a regular, it's not all one story. So they're like, oh, hello, Professor Xavier. How is your brother, the Juggernaut, doing? Well, as you know, he and I are enemies because of this happening. It was, hello, Scott, my husband. What are you doing here? Oh, hello, Jean Grey, my wife, also known as Marvel Girl, and other member of the X-Men. It wasn't quite that bad, but some parts of it were that bad. But still, just epic story. I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I didn't realise how vast it was in terms of, like, you've got space, you've got pseudo time travel via mind-bending shenanigans. Wolverine, like, breaking into the facility. I thought it was a really good episode. Really good issue. Number 4 is The Amazing Spider-Man Worldwide by Dan Slott. So this is interesting compared to what I previously said about the Spider-Man comics that I read, that they're not your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This is not friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man's a grown-up. He has Parker Industries. He is a business magnate. He is paid Hobie Brown, formerly the Prowler, to be Spider-Man. So he has Spider-Man as a bodyguard to help keep his secret identity. But, and this isn't, and a lot of it doesn't take place in New York at all. It covers London and Singapore. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that he worked with different people like Nick Fury and Mockingbird from S.H.I.E.L.D. I loved Dr. Octopus threatening in the background, being his consciousness is stuck inside this robot who's gradually becoming more and more sentient. I love the story of time travel, and I think the Zodiac bad guys are really cool. I love there's a bit where, like, they go to fight in Pisces bases, all underwater, and the guys are like, why do we have to be stuck with Pisces, man? Like, there's just a bit of humour there. It's great. The art is amazing. Just the vivid lights of Singapore at the start. You have, like, the Spidey car, and it's racing underneath, like, a motorway overpass. Just super cool stuff happening. Really enjoyed it. Number 3 is Doctor Strange: The Oath by Brian K. Vaughan. This, I really enjoyed the story of the fact that it was going back to Doctor Strange being a doctor, and he has to try and save Wong. But he can't do it as a doctor, so he has to use magic. And then the villain is someone who is the person who tried to help Doctor Strange after his car accident, and Doctor Strange yelled at him because Doctor Strange wasn't very nice. And he took the same path as Doctor Strange, but differed. I like it when villains are the mirror of the hero, but I also like the fact that the villain partly is who Doctor Strange used to be. I loved the art in this. There's like crazy dimension swapping, going into finding the vials and things, finding the medicines and things like that. There's medical quandaries. There's evil pharmaceuticals, which kind of fits into Doctor Strange. This could only be a Doctor Strange comic, but one thing that really elevated it for me was that, because I think it's a 6-issue run, but it's like one story, is that the flashbacks, like the previously on, are really integrated into the story. So there's one bit where a hospital gets blown up, and that happens right at the end of the last story. In the next story, it says previously on, and it's typed out in like medical notes that are on fire from the exploding building. Like, just really cool ideas. Yeah, I thought the art was great, and I like Doctor Strange. I think he's a cool guy. I think he has cool stories, so I enjoyed that. Number 2 is All New Captain America: Hydra Ascendant by Rick Remender. This was the first comic book I read in 2023. January was such a good reading year for me. I wouldn't have had the reading year if I hadn't had such a good January. That really kind of kicked it off for me. But yeah, this is about Sam Wilson, formerly the Falcon, just taken over as Captain America. Hydra are like trying to set off bombs everywhere, and he's just permanently on the edge of losing. He just gets beaten up and just fights and gets up. And it's all about... you have loads of Hydra villains, which are cool, because I've never seen them that much. Like, there's a really big rogues gallery in the story, and there's just so much action. Punch, kick, slam, crunch, as both Sam beats up the villains, but also he gets beaten up himself, and he doesn't have the super soldier serum. He just has stick-to-itiveness to get up and keep fighting. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Oh, it was so good. And I think Sam is one of my favourite characters, mainly because of Anthony Mackie's performance. Actually, mainly because of just Anthony Mackie being such a cool dude, and then Anthony Mackie's performance as Sam, and then what he does in the comics. And he's got cool superpowers and a cool costume and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to whenever that Sam Wilson Captain America movie comes out. And number 1, my number 1 comic that I read in 2023 was Miss Marvel Volume 1 by Willow G. Wilson. There's a reason why this went multi super double platinum and had multiple runs. There's a reason why Miss Marvel is one of the most popular superheroes, even though she hasn't been around for very long. There's a reason why she was fast-tracked into the movies and TV show and video games, and her costume's great, and her character's great, the art's great, the story's great. It's just like early Spider-Man. She is a teenager. She's a teenager first, superhero second. She wants it to be the other way around. She gets in over her head. She's dealing with being a Pakistani immigrant. Oh, it's so good. And I'm really pleased that I thought the Miss Marvel TV show was great. I really liked the Marvels. And I think Iman Vellani is perfect casting. And I really hope she keeps doing the character. But the first comic run is just fantastic. There's a reason why it's so well known and has sold so well, because it just hits everything that you need. There's no filler. The pace is great. It's about identity. Yeah, just perfect. So those are my top 5 plus one honourable mention comics. I don't think any of these are like brand spanking new by any stretch. I'm still going to get if I do read comics, I'm going to get most of them through the comics app or through the library. I do think that in my aim of reading bigger books, longer books in 2024, I might put comics to the side a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. I'll just see what's the library. And also my kids sometimes randomly just get something from the library for me, comics. So I enjoy reading those. But anyway, if you read any of those comics, let me know. Or if there's any like of those characters that I've mentioned that you're like, oh wait, there's this one that's like really, really good. You need to read that. So just comment below. Give this video a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And subscribe if you want to see more of my content. Anyway, I'll see you soon. And get out my house!